Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a recipe inspired by history and tradition, canning chicken and gravy from the all-new Ball Book of Canning and Preserving. But this isn't just about preserving food, it's about connecting to a rich culinary heritage of the Pennsylvania Dutch, and one of their iconic dishes, chicken and waffles. Back in the 1800s, this hearty dish was born right here in Pennsylvania Dutch country. It's a delicious combination of stewed chicken served over crispy waffles. It's a meal made right most of simple farm-raised ingredients crafted by love and practicality to feed families well. Fast forward to today, we're keeping up with that live tradition at home with chicken and gravy. That old-fashioned comfort food whenever we want, but it's also an absolute lifesaver for busy days. Seriously, grabbing a jar of this off the shelf and heating it up is faster than finding your car keys and heading to the drive-thru, no matter how quick that takeout might seem. So stick around and I'll show you just how easy it is to preserve this timeless classic for quick homemade meals whenever you need them. So let's get started.
It's pretty good.
This video is part of Canuary, hosted by Lisa over at SuttonsDaze, and you want to check out all the creators in this playlist and comment on each one of their videos because that will increase your chance of winning not one, but 2 pressure canners, or Jar Lids is going to be donating one of those pressure canners along with some other great prizes. Lisa's also giving away a steam canner, so leave a heartfelt comment and good luck, and I'll see you at the live stream on January 31st at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time on SuttonsDaze. Good luck, everyone. We're going to be working out of the all-new Ball Book of Canning and Preserving. This recipe is part of the Simple One-Jar Meals collection in this book. We're going to be trying a new recipe to me, and it's called Chicken and Gravy Dinner in a Jar. For this recipe, you're going to need chopped up chicken in 2-inch chunks, diced potatoes, diced onions, and diced celery, along with salt and pepper, poultry seasoning, dry white wine, I'm using a Chardonnay, and chicken stock. So for this canning project, I picked up some chicken from the quick sale section of the grocery store. It's a great way to save a little money and still get perfectly good meat. Just make sure to use it or preserve it right away. When you're canning, every little savings counts, and this is an awesome way to stretch your grocery budget while stocking up your pantry. And for added flavor, I picked up thighs and breasts. Let's talk about how to remove the skin from the chicken thighs and debone them. Let's take the chicken thigh and place it skin side up on your cutting board. To remove the skin, grab a corner of the skin and gently pull back. You will notice it's attached in a few spots with connective tissue. Use your fingers to pull most of it off, and if you hit a tough spot, use a sharp knife or kitchen shears to carefully remove the skin anyway. Now let's work on taking the bone out. With the thigh bone facing up, locate the center bone. It runs through the middle. Take your knife and make a shallow cut along the bone as to expose it. This will help you see where it's attached to the meat. Next, use the tip of your knife to carefully work along the edges of the bone. Cut away the meat as you go. Be patient. It's better to take small cuts than rush through and waste any meat. So since I weighed an empty bowl, I'm going to weigh my chicken, and it's telling me we have 4.10 ounces. So I'm going to knock it back to 4.5 and use that other 3 ounces in something else. So I'm going to make sure we have 2 1/4 cups of onions, potatoes, and celery. And you want to get this out of your refrigerator a half an hour before you start filling your jars to get it to come up to room temperature. And with any root vegetable, you should be washing and peeling them to remove any dirt or bacteria that might be in the skin. So we're just going to cut these into slices, and then we're going to dice them in the chopper. That is very loud. And with all your prep work done, it's time to get the canning station prepped. We need our funnel, our debubbler, our paper towels, our canning lids, and our jar bands, and our jar lifter. Then you want to make sure you're getting your canner ready by measuring out the amount of water you need for your canner. And please follow your manufacturer's instructions on how much water to put in your pressure canner. My Presto requires 3 quarts of water. And remember to wash your sink before you wash your jars. Now this comes from me being a restaurant manager and a dairy farmer's wife. I use a dedicated jar brush to wash my jars. It's just one extra thing I don't have to think about where I've used it. I like to scrub my jars like somebody owes me money. For each one of my ingredients, I have a measuring spoon ready so I don't have to guess which spoon goes to which. And I have everything else laid out. I'm going to just use the same measuring cup for all my vegetables because I know they're all 1/4 cup for a pint. For a quart, you would just want to double everything here, but just follow the recipe in the book if you want to do quarts. We're going to fill our jars, starting with a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. The recipe does call for a 1/2 teaspoon, but I don't really care for black pepper that much, and since spices intensify after canning, we're definitely going to lower the amount to try it first, or omit later. So 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. Then we're going to do a 1/2 teaspoon of poultry seasoning. Then a tablespoon of white wine. We're using a Chardonnay. Then we're going to zero out the scale, and I'm going to weigh my chicken, which we need a 1/2 pound. And this is a recipe that's great for empty nesters or college kids or people just going out on their own that just need a hot meal quick, because this meal can be ready in 10 minutes or less. Alright, we got a 1/2 pound, so I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of potatoes, a 1/4 cup of celery, and a 1/4 cup of onions. I'm going to tap it down, make sure we're below that 1-inch headspace. Then we're going to fill up with chicken stock and measure our 1-inch headspace. Then we're going to debubble. Make sure we get any of that trapped air out to prevent siphoning, which is the loss of water. We're going to wipe the rim with our paper towel to make sure there's nothing on there that will cause a bad seal. Then we're going to add our handy dandy 4 jars lids that I just absolutely love. And we're going to add our band to the jar, and we're going to add it to the canner. And look at that. Then we're going to continue the process till we have all 9 jars filled up. Now the recipe in the ball book does state that they want you to put the ingredients in for 2 jars into a bowl and mix them up. But I find putting the seasonings on the bottom here, then the rest, easy enough to do without compromising safety. I mean, it's all going to be in the jar measured out right if we put it into the jar directly and not into a mixing bowl. I am making this for my mother-in-law, who is a widow, because she doesn't like cooking, believe it or not. She finds herself wanting to be out in her goat barn or in her sewing room more than she does cooking. So I'm going to help her out by making this for her. And at her age, Who can blame her? Who would want to spend hours on end just to cook for one person at 81? And since I like to be transparent, I'll give you my take on this recipe since this was my first time canning it and trying it for you. The next time I would can it in quarts and do half chicken broth because I felt like where was the gravy, and I would omit the black pepper because that was half of what I tasted. Other than that, it was very flavorful and very good, and was such a great one pot meal or one jar meal. I highly do recommend it, but those would be my critiques. I would also serve this over homemade buttermilk biscuits, over rice, over open-faced sandwiches, something that's quick and easy to make. It was very good, other than my critiques. And since I have 8 wide-mouth pints in the canner, and I have a 23-quart Presto that I'm canning with, we're going to need another rack. So we're just going to place that on top and fill our last jar. Alright, before you put your canner lid on, you want to make sure your vent pipe is clear of any debris. Make sure your plug is working. Because of my last canner load, it wasn't in there right, and my husband had to touch it so it would come up. So, alright, see this arrow and this arrow? You want those to line up before you put the canner on. And you just want to slide it over. Then we're going to turn the stove on to medium-high heat and wait till our vent pipe is steaming a good 10 minutes before we put our pressure weight on. Now we're going to wait till the vent pipe has rolling steam coming out of it for a good solid 10 minutes and time it. Then we're going to put our pressure weight on. I thought I would jump in here and show you how much chicken stock I ended up using. For 9 pints, I ended up using a cup shy of a quart. So I used 3 cups of chicken stock for 9 pints. So notice how the steam is straight shooting up into the air. That's when you want to start your timer for 10 minutes. Then at the end of that timer, we're going to put our pressure weight on it. Okay. As it's rocking like crazy at a medium-high heat, you want to start moving back your heat till it's going to be doing a slow Hulu. You're going to do it a little bit at a time. So you can't set your timer right now until it slows down its rock. Now it's doing a Hulu like back and forth slowly. So we're going to set our timer for an hour and 15 minutes, which is 75 minutes. After the 75-minute processing time, you just want to turn off your timer, turn off your stove, and walk away. There is nothing to do but walk away. Now that our plug has dropped, we'll time it for 10 minutes. Now that our 10 minutes is up, we'll take the weight off. And we're going to slowly open the lid. I'm going to leave the lid just enough that steam can escape. And wait 10 minutes. Then when it's time, just carefully move the lid and don't get a steam burn. Then look at that goodness. Good. Look how pretty it is in the jar. Then we're going to set that on a drying mat or something that's not directly contact of your counter. Then I just take a butter knife and remove that center tray to remove the rest of the jars. When they come out of the counter, they're still going to boil for a good 10 minutes. that is normal, and you want to be doing a little dance on seeing how pretty they are in the jar, and all my jars sealed using those 4 jar lids. So I would like to thank you for watching this video. I sure do appreciate it, especially at the end of the video. It sure helps me out. And if you want to continue watching my channel, may I suggest my playlist on canning? I highly recommend it. It's not everything I can, but it'll get you a good start on learning something new if you're just starting out canning. Take care and God bless.